Good morning, everybody, and hope you're having a good weekend. My name is Anup. I'm going to talk to you about this topic where passion meets profession. I guess everybody has their passions. For me, it was about money. It started at a very young age. Not the kind where you load up a lot of money. Yeah, that was nice too. But understanding what this thing called money is, and primarily trying to answer this question, what is this thing that makes us all so mean, right? So what is this thing that enters our mind and makes us also mean towards our fellow human beings and animals, the planet, and all that? And trying to find that hook through which we can use money to make life a better thing rather than what we do with money today. I mean, hoard, cheat and all of those different things, right? So my passion is for money and understanding what this thing is and what it does to our minds. And luckily for me, this job that I got with ANZ Bank, which is basically applying technology to the business of money, banking, got me a happy mixture. So that's been 30 years of life doing this. And I think what I want to do over the next few minutes is talk you through the last 3 decades. You all, I mean, many of you, in the audience have been through those 3 decades. And many of you will be part of this Indian decade, which has been, we talk about this Indian decade. What is that and what is the making of this decade over the last 3 decades is what I will quickly walk you guys through from my eyes. This guy, I was in college, and this guy went to jail, and it was a big deal. Essentially, our banking system, our money system was susceptible to a lot of fraud, today we just transfer money, click of a button. We used to write checks, we used to print demand drafts on paper and send it by speed post. It used to take many days for money to clear, right? So for money to move from one bank account to the other. And this individual, his name is Arshad Mehta, he used it very, very nicely to be able to create like a stock market bull run, right? I mean, it was basically using other people's money to basically fund stock market purchases and a lot of fraud, right? The Reserve Bank of India, which is our regulator in India, realized that something was wrong and needed to be tightened up. And I got a job thanks to this man. Right? And I didn't know him, he existed. So I came out of college and lo and behold, the bank that hired me was one of the banks that was heavily penalized by the Reserve Bank of India. It was an Australian bank, poor fellows. And they were running a business in India thanks to their British connections. And, this guy used their naivety, I guess, and they had to implement technology, right? So now we needed to connect all these branches into a single core banking solution. Today we take it for granted that we can walk into any store and pay anywhere thanks to this guy. And so, my job, thanks to this guy. During college, I don't know how many of you know these yellow boxes. I'm trying to build up to money, the way money is built and way money is used today and how fast money moves. Back in our, silly old days, we used to have to walk to these yellow boxes to be able to make phone calls, right? So today we carry around devices which are more powerful than the computers that got man to the moon. Right? Each one of us in our pockets carries those devices that are larger than anything that the federal government in the US had in the 30s when the Depression happened. This box is where we all went, and it was like a community hangout, right? I mean, everybody had to call their parents in hostel, and you overheard many conversations. Charan Sparsh Pitashri, Charan Sparsh Matashri, and all of those. And, today, with WhatsApp and text and so on, it's the phone that came in, so money got connected, and at the same time, early 2000, this individual, he had a lot more hair and was a lot more youthful back then. One of the richest men, maybe not the richest now. He had this device, a mobile phone, where you could make a call for 40 paisa, right? I mean, equal to a postcard. I mean, we used to write letters, apparently. I mean, I don't remember that. None of you guys would have done that, I guess. Never. Yeah, so all that happened. We had this mobile revolution. We had core banking. We could transfer money. Paper checks were getting eliminated. All of that. And then somewhere around 2010, 8, 10, this new idea came to people's minds. Why should I go for a job, right? I mean, what's this thing called a job, right? I can start my own company and make more money, right? So this is this thing about let's do this faster, right? Why should I wait 40 years to get retired when I can make money early and retire early? It's called FIRE, I believe, financial independence, retire early. Right? That's the dream of every Gen Z kid that's walking into the workforce these days. It started here, right? I mean, obviously, Sachin Bansal, Bini Bansal, and all of those different Kormangla crowd. I mean, people who have been to Kormangla those days, heady boom, right? Everybody was doing something or the other, right? I was doing one small little thing on the side, which is in the boring world of moving data from the banks to the Reserve Bank of India, right? Reserve Bank of India sits on top and manages the economy. What we think with money is being basically managed, created policies for by the Reserve Bank of India. So these 3 decades, you all know these stories. It's come out in papers. You know, maybe you didn't know about Harshad Mehta, most of you guys, and Mukesh Ambani, you guys know, he came and brought the mobile revolution. He's doing it again with Jio, and Flipkart and the whole startup boom that happened in Bangalore and then to the rest of India. Unknown to everybody else, the government of India don't go by the parties. This happens whether it is this party or that party. The government of India is, unfortunately, having to deal with 1.4 billion people, many of whom are really poor, which means they don't have any money, right? I mean, and that's not a good situation when it comes to running a country, because people, when they don't have money, they get really frustrated, and that can lead to social unrest and all that. So a country like India, no government, whether it's Congress, BJP, whatever, can ignore the masses of people that have no money, right? I mean, you can travel anywhere into hinterland, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. There's very little money, right? And you can eat a breakfast for 7 rupees, 10 rupees, even now in Bihar and UP, right? Unheard of, actually in Bangalore. So the government of India started thinking about what can we do with this beautiful things, which is the bank account, money in everybody's bank account, this beautiful thing called mobile, and this thing that we had created, which is called Aadhaar, which meant that each one of us has got a unique ID, right? We have our names, but we also have a unique ID that uniquely represents us in the world of India. So they put together this thing, a technology thing called jam, right? Beautiful jam, mixed fruit jam, right? So it mixed banks with mobile and Aadhaar, which is a unique ID created by the government of India. Now you can move money the way we do now, right? We pay for the coconut vendor with our mobile phones, thanks to this thing that started and then accelerated and so on. This is what we call digital public infrastructure. So you think about a startup creating technology to move products into your homes, to this thing which is built by the government and obviously participated by people like me, and I hope many of you will participate as well, in creating digital public infrastructure. How can we all get the power through our mobile to dream the way the Americans dreamed about putting a man on the moon, right? Can we all do that, right? Because we've got the power of the bank account, we've got the money, and we've got our identity, right? How do we imagine beyond? Now I want to take a pause here and bring back my learnings from the world of money. Why is this thing making us so mean, right? And that essentially is this mindset that we have, that we need to have more and more of this thing called money to be happy, right? And then I kind of realized over many years, if that is what is going to make you happy, you're never going to be happy, right? You're going to just be chasing a dog chasing his own tail. So what is this thing that can be happy, and how much money is enough, right, to be happy, right? So that's the, let's call it a midlife crisis kind of a question, right? So, and obviously I had all this back-end knowledge of how money is made, how it's a big pyramid scheme, how it's a Ponzi in a way, and all of that, because finally it's a system of control, right? I mean, it is us behaving in a particular way because we're all chasing money. Now, and let's talk to our parents, I mean, or grandparents in your case, and talk about life the way it was before JAM, right? Before bank accounts and startups and fire and all of that, right? It was this slow thing which was about making relationships. It was about caring for other people. It was about caring what they thought about you. It was about building long-term relationships. It was about not having to schedule an interview or a meeting to visit your relatives. You just walked in, you just barged in, right? People just came in and sat and claimed whatever they wanted. They didn't schedule it in their calendars, right? So it was something around community. It was around human relationships. It was about celebrating our togetherness and our joint visions. And I come from a small town, there is still a little bit of an inkling of that still remaining. And today we're talking about a sustainable future. What is a sustainable future? Where we live in harmony with the planet. We're not doing it right now, but we need to, right? How do we do that? Do we consume less or do we live better, right? What do we do with our money, right? I mean, those are the questions. So this idea that I have is basically saying, can we bring the emotions of our past, because we did live a sustainable life, can we marry it with the technologies of the future, right? I mean, which is AI, technology, of all of that, right? Can human values be at the center of our life rather than this blind race to accumulate more and more money into an abstract thing called a bank account and your stock balance accounts, and do that, I mean, no problem. But, I'm going to use a political slogan. I mean, ek hai to save hai. So it's basically, how can we come together as communities and discard those barriers that have been created, whether it's religious barriers, all these different things we have in our minds. And I'm reminded of this time in, Sri Krishna temple in Udupi. I used to work in a shop, mentored by my uncle, who was also part of a banking family, right? I mean, these are lessons in what money means and how you earn. And people just came in for a chat, right? It was not about just ordering on Zepto 10 minutes, mere ko sirf wo chahiye. It was about people coming in and talking to you. I mean, I was at the counter, people ask you questions. I mean, I'm just like a shop assistant, right? I mean, so people talk to you, generate relationships, and that's wealth in a lot of way, right? That's goodwill wealth. I mean, you can't measure it in a bank account, but it's important. Coming back, right? I mean, yeah, good for the heart and everything. But hone ke liye we have to create businesses or infrastructure that. See, the government of India is one thing, and it's got its own pressures. How can we as citizens participate in this? There's so many institutions. How can we now take this technology, build our businesses, our balances from scratch, not purely looking at something which is impersonal bank account related things, right? There is the infrastructure available. We've got a national digital infrastructure building up. We need to contribute. How do we contribute? By bringing our own unique points of view to it, Indian point of view, or for those, the Bharatiya point of view, right? So I'm just going to leave you with 3 examples, I mean, that I've been working on. See, I mean, finally, at the end of the day, roti, kapda, makan, muskan, those are our basics, right? I mean, we will all consume roti, kapda, makan, muskan, and produce, hopefully. Right? The whole growth, globalization growth, has essentially made a few things easy and a few things polluted and adulterated, let's say. Let's take fish. I'm a big fish eater. I come from the coast, obviously. I devour fish. I know what the fisherman is getting out of the work that they are putting and the risk they're taking going out in the sea. I know how much they get. I know how much that woman makes when she wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning, goes to the port, struggles to get that one butti of fish, and how much she makes at the end of the day. And I know how much I pay in a restaurant for a pomfret fry in Bangalore, right? I know that big difference. It's 10x, if not, if not more, right? So how can more money go to the fishermen so that they can now fish better, and the problems of overfishing and everything can be reduced? Honey. I work in the Himalayas. Honey is the most adulterated product you'll find on your shelves. How did it happen? With all this globalization, how did we end up putting poison in our mouths? Right? And the beekeeper is saying, boss, मेरे को ये काम करना ही नहीं है because कुछ पैसा मिलता नहीं है, मेरे बच्चों को डालना नहीं है इसमें. So how can we now reverse it? Honey is medicinal, right? How can we get beekeepers and us, honey lovers, to unite, right? That's students. You're all here. Instead of saying that I'll wait till I graduate to create a business, why can't I create a business in campus, right? It doesn't cost money. It's your marketplace. It's your experiment zone. These are all things that can happen on this thing that we've got called JAM and DPI and all those 3-letter acronyms. Thank you so much. Passion meets profession makes your life go into autopilot. You might not make a lot of money. You might make a lot of money, right? But it can make you satisfied and not have any regrets. Thank you so much.